Hi, my name is Kizzy Richardson, and this is my A to B. At the start of this module, I defined my A. I had finally managed to crack my time management and was successfully juggling anywhere from 2 to 5 projects at a time, which was super impressive because in previous years, this was a big problem for me. I was using as many mediums as I could and didn't want to limit myself to just a few. I've always loved using mixed media, so didn't plan on stopping now. I was actively incorporating my writing into my work at every moment I could and thoroughly enjoying every part of it. But I still felt I was digital heavy and wanted to make sure I was giving myself time to fully explore the other mediums I loved using. Before I came to uni, I did a foundation degree in fine art and design at Stroud College, which is where I gained further understanding of my practice. I'd never studied graphic design before, but had always loved art, and at my college my tutors introduced me to graphics. This is where my love for mixed media began, and where I started incorporating my writings into my work. I gained a love for graphics and knew I had to pursue it further, so came to Falmouth Uni. Here are some examples of the different mediums I've used during the course, including digital, lino prints, sculpting, 3D modelling, bookbinding, painting, and many more, each more enjoyable than the next. Ever since I was young, reading and writing have been what I'm good at. Put a times table in front of me, and 85% of the time I'll just start crying. But a book? That's where I thrive. Some of my work from first year is now used as an example on the learning space, which is kind of crazy, but super cool and really rewarding to see. And in third year, I've been actively using my writings to fuel my projects, such as this one, where I turned my dissertation into a vinyl record. A very fun project that was satisfying to see it come to life, knowing it was all my personal work. I even plan on showing this particular project at the grad show. And whilst it may seem like I'm complaining, in a sense, that my work is all digital heavy, it doesn't diminish from the quality of what I've created, but I'm rather highlighting that it's important to me to use every medium at my disposal whilst I have the opportunity to do so. So I want to begin to practice that in the final module. Let's move over to my B, which in short is publication, branding, Adobe, and industry. Let's explore these further and how I've incorporated them into this module. I'm considering working in the publication field, so began by basing some of my projects in this area. It's not something I'd ever considered before, but had a few people tell me that my work could lend well to it, and realised it's something I could definitely see myself doing. I created a book about my dad, with very successful results, and a collaboration project with my boyfriend to create a pop-up book, which was tricky to create but well worth the result. These projects were very enjoyable and rewarding and made me realise I like publication work a lot more than I thought I did. I began by looking back on the branding projects I've made over the years, and I'm not the most pleased with the results. I understand this will most likely happen in a few years with these projects too, but I wanted to work on my branding skills, so began with rebranding Trelawney Laundrette, which I pass every time I walk to uni, and decided to base a project on it. I had a lot of fun and plan on showing them this rebrand to get their opinions and feedback. As a result, these branding projects have probably become some of my favourites from this module. This in turn also helped me with my Adobe skills, which I wanted to develop. I was quite frankly terrified of Illustrator and downright hated InDesign, so I knew I had to get round both. I've always had somewhat of an understanding with Photoshop due to using it at A-level with photography, but the others were completely foreign to me before I came to uni, which definitely didn't help. Illustrator was the biggest change, but the easiest to use in the end, and I would even now consider it one of my favourites. I love making vector art, and it was super satisfying learning all the tools. It was pretty confusing at first, as it uses some of the opposite commands to Photoshop, but I got there eventually. InDesign was tricky, but Ryan Barterby helped with the basics, and from there I figured it out. I'm not too sure I'd consider it a go-to, but I can certainly manage the basics, even if I'd rather use a different program. And Photoshop, I was already more than adequate at, if I do say so myself, so this was just a case of using the knowledge I already had and applying it to my projects. My boyfriend is a Photoshop whiz, so he helped me along the way too, teaching me shortcuts I didn't even know existed. I certainly feel more than prepared to use Adobe apps for a lot of the tasks thrown my way, so it was definitely worth learning them all, no matter how scary it seemed at first. I also knew I had to prepare myself for industry, which is so terrifying but necessary. Nonetheless, so when Steve House mentioned the creative community, I knew I had to participate. This is where Steve matches you up with industry professionals that best suit your style, and we then arrange meetings with said professionals. He set me up with Lottie Peterson, a creative director from Bloom, who gave me some amazing insight into the design world and how to create for large agencies. Tom Wheatley, a mid-designer from Profit, who gave me some great advice about some of my projects and how to elevate them. Murray Harden, who is Falmouth alumni, so I was able to put myself in his shoes, and he gave me some invaluable advice about getting that first job after uni. Trevor Thompson, a freelance designer, who actually made me consider being a freelance designer and helped me see myself in the design world. And finally, Emma Pike, the lead designer at Brunswick Creative, who reviewed my portfolio and gave me some ideas to take it to the next level. All of these meetings were incredible, and I couldn't recommend taking part more, so a huge thank you to Steve House for that again. I also drafted up an email to get me in the groove of writing them and preparing to reach out to companies. Whether it be for work, or a portfolio review, or an internship, it's important to be prepared regardless. I plan on going home and working for a year to earn some money before I reach out, so don't plan on sending these for a while, but it's still best to be prepared. I also participated in a lot of student-led workshops and exhibits and wanted to show my support and create possible contacts for the future. Networking is important, and so is showing support for your classmates. I thoroughly enjoyed all of these workshops and was amazed at what they'd created. It was a great boost to see what was made, and it fueled my own practice in turn. I also participated in my very first live brief, which was a great taste of the industry and allowed me to see what it was like to work for a real client. Sarah Reed from Hornywink Cider reached out to Andy and arranged for students to sign up to create the branding for a fine cider brand. It wasn't easy, and I'm glad I got to experience that, because it makes it all the more satisfying when they like your outcomes. I spoke to Sarah, and she personally told me she loves my outcomes, which is super fulfilling to hear, and I plan to submit this work for the Southwest Design Awards. And even if I don't win, it's a great opportunity, and could result in my work getting seen by the right people. This also prompted me to work on my portfolio. I was super bored of the standard portfolio and wanted to make something that reflected me as a person and had my personality shine through on all of the pages. I use ReadyMag, which has only really started appearing this year, but it's super intuitive and really helped my making process with built-in animation processes and so much more. The first page is my school bag that I've had since year 9 and still use to this day, and then all the bits you usually see inside of it. I then made a gallery wall to showcase my projects. This is a work in progress, so please be gentle. The All About Me page is the least finished so far, but has a lot of potential to be the most fun, including this dress-up series of images of myself. I've then showcased my socials in a funny way, using subliminal messaging to hopefully get me lots of work if all else fails. I'm really happy with how my portfolio is coming out so far, and plan for it to be finished by the grad show so I can create business cards to show it off. I then compiled a studio hit list of a few studios I wanted to work for, focusing on the surrounding area of my hometown, Cirencester, so places like Bath, Bristol and Cardiff, which are really creative places. So far, my list consists of Hey What Studio, Bristol Graphics and Print, Towards Studio, Supple Studio, Rhythm Studio, Halo Studio, Golly Slater, Blue Stag, Departure Design, Mr. B and Friends, and Orca. Me and my boyfriend Dylan plan on moving to Bristol together after we graduate, which is super exciting but also really scary. We chose Bristol as a creative hub for like-minded people and will hopefully allow us to break out into the design world, and in the next few years I hope to be either a junior designer or an in-house designer, or even freelance, but that one in particular would be further down the line, after I've gained some more experience. Whilst working for myself seems fun, I also want to experience working in a team and feel I could gain invaluable knowledge from that situation. I'm really excited to see what my future in graphic design holds for me, so thank you so much for listening to my A to B.